I'm Poorva Bhardwaj. I head the customer success team for APAC at Miro. And I have the absolute honor of speaking with our next and the final guest today. Now, our guest has been building AI agents since before most of us actually knew what to call them and address them as. He's the co-founder and co-CEO of Relevance AI, the platform where anyone, and not just engineers and the geeks, can build and deploy teams of AI agents. His customers include Canva, Databricks, Uber, to name a few. In January of this year itself, 40,000 agents were created on their platform. And they closed a 24 million Series B led by Bessemer Venture Partners. Now, with a huge round of applause, let's welcome Jacky on stage. Now, I know you're not a FIFA fan, but NBA, so I won't bore you in asking who are you betting on to win.
Australia. Wait, no, I wouldn't bet on it, but I hope they win.
Awesome. But for anyone who might be unfamiliar with Relevance AI, can you start by telling us a little about your company?
Yeah, sure. So Relevance AI is a Australian headquartered company. We are what we call an AI workforce platform, a platform where anyone can come and build AI agents for various different purposes, most notably really effective in go-to-market use cases. And we service customers like Canva, Databricks, Uber, amongst many other really awesome logos that we get the chance to work with. We actually are soon also about to announce something really exciting, a new research lab as well, to focus more on how can we build really important tools for agents to make them even more better. So yeah.
Awesome. So you've been building in AI before the wave of AI exploded. What feels truly different to you specifically in this last 6 to 9 months than, say, what it was 18 months ago?
I feel less like an alien. We started Relevance quite a while ago, and in its first iteration, it was about this concept called vector database, which essentially is like semantic search. How do you search for something that's not just matched by text, but actually by meaning, by semantics? And the amount of time it took for someone to understand and for people for me to explain it and for them to understand was ages, like literally months, if not years. Nowadays, I talk about concepts like AI agents, vector database, LLMs. More and more people get it. So the pace in which people are picking up these concepts and genuinely excited by it is much, much more different. Even just saying, hey, I'm a machine learning engineer, that gives a much more different perspective. Whereas before, they're like, what is that? So yeah, it's a very exciting time to be building. So yeah.
Side question, what do you think we'll call AI agents in future?
AI coworkers. I think it will be more natural, so I don't even know if we'll necessarily use the word agents anymore. I think we'll potentially just call them via their first names if we give them first names. But we've actually seen that in some of our customers. Like one of our customers called Zemble, they call it humane, so human, but with an I in there, so like human. Humane. They give each of their agents names, and it really personifies the experience. It also lets you know that, hey, like they are making mistakes, and how can you actually critique them, etc. So I think that change will happen soon.
So this is coming from someone who has FOMO and is now finding hard to keep up. How do you keep up with all these new developments in the field?
Yeah, people do ask me this question a lot. I genuinely am just very excited, and like I love to tinker. Like even today, I think I slept at like 5 a.m. because I'm just like playing around with all these different tools. So I think find where is AI most relevant to the space you're really interested in. AI is really, really powerful for going deeper and deeper and finding the level of quality that you really want. So that's something that I have found that has let me really stay up to date, because there's nothing more that lets you stay up to date than just like hands-on experience. Like I learn the best when I'm like hands-on, using these tools, trying these tools, seeing where it doesn't work, where it does work. So that's one. The other one, I think probably people will talk about just going on Twitter. Like Twitter, there's a lot of information from like thought leaders that are talking about like, hey, how do you use these AI agents to be more effective in terms of different workflows, et cetera. So yeah.
Nice. And I know we are moving so fast at such a fast pace, but say a year ago you said that AI agents were just glorified workflows back then. That may not be really true, but I thought that's quite an interesting view. Why do you think this matter to the people in the room?
Yeah. So no, definitely. Like around almost like a year ago, or maybe even a bit longer than that, there was a lot of products coming out with AI agents, and they were really just workflows, like if this then that workflows. If you ask it to do anything just like slightly different, it won't work, right? Because they were just built to be very specific to that use case. It didn't really utilize what agents are, core to agents, which is tool calling, and that's like the fundamental difference. But the other way to like really think about this, and I think even now it's quite crucial, because when it comes to agents, when it comes to the level of autonomy you can give an agents, there are actually 4 different levels, and this is something we've been working with a lot of customers and deeply resonates, which is you have this 4 levels of automation. And you can think of it like self-driving cars, right? So like L2, it's like L1, L2 is like you are actually driving the car, right? You have like guidance from like a GPS, etc. It's helping you out a little bit, and that's similar to using just LLMs without any tools, without any integrations attached to it. And then you have L3, which is much more like autopilot. You're not your hands are not on the steering wheel anymore, but you're still kind of telling it what to do. It's still like helping you get to different locations. Whereas L4, which we call like self-driving, you're not even on the wheel. You could sit on the top of the roof of the car. You could sit on the back seat. It's kind of like Waymo, and that's the different levels of AI agent autonomy that one needs to think about as well when they're deploying AI agents internally. Because there's some use cases where you definitely are wanting to be more co-pilot. There's definitely some use cases where you trust it enough to be like self-driving. And there's definitely some use cases where it still requires that human in the loop, still requires that quality check, where it needs like autopilot, so like L3. So knowing that these different levels is really, really critical, because it helps you measure the ROI better as well. So yeah.
So can you give an example of what you would have seen that really surprised you that your customer did with your platform in terms of building a new use case that was uncovered, or that actually took you by surprise?
Yeah, there's 2, like ones that I get pleasantly surprised by. One was our platform being used for security use cases, because it was just something we don't even internally use it for that. But one of our customers were just ingesting tons of data, tons of different activities from different platforms, both like written and more kind of engineering logs as well. And they were able to identify anomalies or like things that are not factually correct, etc. And that was actually really, really critical for compliance and security. And they were able to save like tons of money and also just like avoid disasters from happening when they deployed that. That was really surprising, because it wasn't planned for that use case at all, right? Then on the other side is what I get pleasantly surprised by, which is what we do, advertise our platform for more and more, which is hyper-personalization. And the level of hyper-personalization some of our customers go to is like honestly quite frantic. Like one of our customers, they're called Qualified, acquired by Salesforce, but like they essentially have these AI agents that will actually personalize the messaging to the customer so much that it will actually start talking about sports. Like it will start talking about like, hey, this NBA game, or hey, this college basketball game. And that really resonates with the customer, even though they know it's an agent. And that's that level of hyper-personalization to make the customer experience feel really, really, truly amazing is something that, I get surprised by every time. So yeah.
Nice. Now the key tension here is that everyone wants to build at speed, but speed without strategy obviously creates that chaos. So how do leaders know whether they are moving fast in the right direction versus just trying to experiment endlessly?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the speed thing is like really critical, right? Like AI is making people much, much faster, but it's also creating much, much more chaos. And speed without direction is not, you need velocity. You don't just need speed. And without direction, you end up with like so many weird experiments that just completely does not align with your like mission and vision. Like a good example of this is like, especially like same time like last year, a lot of our team were experimenting with AI agents, AI tools, etc. And you would like pull your head, you would tell them to do something, and then you come back to it. They've done a lot, but it's like there's a lot of different things going on, and you're like, oh, they've taken the one like sentence I said to the wrong extent, to the wrong direction. And it's actually quite important to make sure that that's aligned, because you want to make sure that you're taking that speed and actually pushing it to the same direction. Otherwise, you're actually going to end up spending more time trying to like get everyone back together, and actually having that vector be a lot more longer than it is just in multiple directions. And some of the things we like to do to really like make sure everyone is aligned is just doing pitching and reverse pitching sessions. So pulling up a whiteboard like Miro, and actually like just talking about, hey, what do we want to build? What do we want to provide to the world? What do we want our customers to get value from? And that's really, really important. So yeah, but I would say that's the number one signal that the strategy is not there, or the alignment is not there, is when you turn your head around and someone's built a lot, but it's just like it's completely irrelevant, or it's like it's not the exact quality that you want. So yeah.
Nice. So I'm just curious to know, do you actually define what a good speed looks like at Relevance AI?
We measure more velocity, so it's like how aligned is this to the core value we want for the product, and how much our customers are actually using it. One thing we've tried to get better at and have gotten a lot better at is, because everything is now being able to move so much more faster, being more like unafraid to delete things, because now to get to the same place, it's just a lot quicker, right? Like a good example is with this new product that we're launching. We've built the same mobile app like 2 or 3 times. And each time it took like a day each. Whereas normally before, to build like mobile apps, desktop apps, it would take like months, if not sometimes years, right? So now being able to know that like, hey, we want to make sure we deliver the best possible product experience, we need to make sure that it's aligned. We need to make sure that it's good. So that's something that, yeah, we tend to do.
Okay. So just following it up with an inside-out scenario, what's the point of separation between the organizations you see, where the organizations see the real ROI, versus whether they are stuck in just that pilot and experimentation phase?
Yeah, so it's the ROI will really come from like, I mean, for me, right? Like, there's obviously dashboards, etc., which you'll get to see, like, hey, how many commits we've shipped, how much like changes we shipped. But the main thing that I really like to look at is like the feedback from customers, and that's where the biggest ROI, and I think the most important ROI, comes from. Like customer-focused metrics, things like, hey, how many features have we shipped, and how many are actually actively being used? I think that's really, really critical. And some of the things we do to like measure that is actually feeding back some of the customer feedback data into LLMs and see, hey, what are the general trends? Is this positive? Is this negative? Where is everything heading? Is there anything that's a bit of an anomaly, etc.? So yeah.
So where do you see the companies? What's your observation where they are stuck in their AI journey? Which part of
the biggest one is alignment. Like I think often, and this is something we do extensively with customers, but often there will be like executive orders say like, hey, we need to use AI agents, but there's no clear direction what for, or like how, and for what use cases, where is the most important ones, because you could deploy AI agents for literally anything at the moment, but it's like, what actually matters right now, right? Like I could deploy an AI agent for like, a personal calendar management, which I have, but it's like, what is the ROI of that for like, relevance as a whole? And is that actually super important? That's something that I think not enough companies and not enough teams think about. They just kind of look after, hey, look, there's the buzzword that people are talking about, let's just go try it out. But it's like, but still come with it with a sense of purpose, and spending the time and collaborating with your team on like, hey, this is what we want to do, and actually using tools like Miro to actually like plan it out to just like get your thoughts dumped back onto like a canvas, I think is like really, really critical. Something I've been doing even a lot more with customers is just writing more. Like I actually hated writing. Like back in high school, I would fail a lot of like English classes, etc. But nowadays, I actually tend to write a lot more because it's like one of the best ways to kind of get your thoughts onto a canvas and actually show and tell everyone, hey, this is what I'm thinking, this is what the direction is, this is what the mission, the vision is. And doing more of that, I think, is really, really critical now. And what we don't see customers, and that's what separates the customers who really, really succeed versus ones who don't. So, yeah.
So we'll shift gears a little bit. And obviously, you are running an AI native company. And your experience is really at the forefront of what it takes to lead and manage those AI first employees. What are the experiences and learnings you can share with us today?
Yeah, I mean, so I think there's some controversial ones, but like I talked about one experience, and I think one lesson is like definitely don't be afraid to delete things nowadays, because like the time it maybe took you, even 6 months ago to create something, maybe it was like weeks. Now to recreate that same thing, and now that you've actually created it first time, you can create it much better because you know what was the lessons learned, etc. You can now create it much more quicker, like in days, if not hours. So not being able to, being not afraid to delete things, I think is really, really critical. And really listening to the feedback of that. The other thing that is a bit more controversial, and I think it's really, really critical, but like it comes back to the alignment thing, is like if you're working with people that are really, really aligned, then the 100x, 1000x engineers, designers do exist. Because the level of care that they go into and the level of alignment, even how does this button look? How does this feature work? How does this deliver value, etc. That alignment is so critical, and if they are aligned and really care about it, they're going to use AI to its max to not just design the thing, but to actually implement it, to really care about every single pixel that gets shipped to the customer. And that's something I find really, really exciting, and I think something that we probably care about a bit more. I think the previous one I spoke about, the floor. We care a lot about the ceiling. Like, how can we get someone to their max potential as much as possible at Relevance? And it's probably one of the reasons why a lot of people who work at Relevance, when they kind of move on from Relevance, they actually go to start their own company because they see what does max potential look like. So that's something we tend to focus on a bit more. And some of the lessons we've learned is hey, if you can do that, you truly can work with people that it's just absolutely energizing, and it feels like you're moving at 1,000, if not 10,000 miles pace. So yeah.
Are there any spicy challenges you would like to share?
The spicy challenges. I think with alignment, there comes with lots of friction, and even for me personally, learning about how to handle disagreements, how to handle frictions, but even challenges with I think one, this is actually an interesting one because it happened recently, but it's one of the, people will talk about, hey, AI is not very good at generating, certain code or whatever. One thing I would talk about pretty often in Relevance and to customers as well, it's well, junk in, junk out. So the code might not actually, the code it's working on might be a piece of crap. So it's you actually should make that better. And therefore, the agents can generate something better as well. So it's what goes into the agent matters just as much as what comes out of it. So when it's not working for certain use cases, instead of having the mindset, AI just don't work for this, or it's much more have you actually described it well enough? Are you giving it enough data? And that's one of the challenges that, as part of change management, just culturally, we had to go through because we hire some really, really smart people. And that tends to come with certain opinions that needs to be altered, and that we need to stop nitpicking as much when it doesn't work, and thinking about is it actually me as a user not using it accordingly? So yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. All right, last question. You spoke about this great do-by-do framework, and I know that has evolved over time as well. It's scope pilot versus autopilot, and current tasks versus aspirational tasks. Can you quickly walk us through that framework?
Yeah, sure. So the Copilot and Autopilot bit, it's kind of like what it's evolved to is essentially the 4 levels of automation so that people can think about, hey, what kind of task am I comfortable putting in like L1, L2, L3, L4? There's certain tasks, especially in go-to-market, where you're much more comfortable in putting in L4, things like, ads, right? Like you want that to be self-improving, self-optimizing, so that can be completely in L4 territory. But the current and aspirational task framing is also really, really critical. And this is all really critical because it helps you kind of think about what you want to actually prioritize and where do you want to put AI agents towards. So current tasks are essentially tasks you're already doing. So like every day I'm already replying to messages. Every day I'm already generating code, etc. Things that you're currently doing that you might be spending a lot of time in, you can give it to agents so that they can do it a lot faster for you. Like literally writing code. Like if I do that manually, versus giving an agent, it can literally just type faster, right? Like I just can't type as fast as that, right? So those are tasks where like you're currently doing. Aspirational tasks are things you wish you would be doing, and when you're measuring them, you want to be measuring against like ROI improvement, like conversion improvements. So a good example, back to like go-to-market, is like you wish every single one of your sales rep is like researching deeply about every single customer. But most of the time, they're not, right? They're actually just sending like, they're creating templates and then blasting it out to every customer. Same with like our product marketing, right? Like our lifecycle marketing, et cetera. Like these are aspirational tasks that if you do them, it's going to improve the user experience, but most importantly, improve the quality of the work. And I think a good example to know if you're not doing enough aspirational tasks is how often do you put it off, right? Like if there's tasks that you're putting off, that usually means they're tasks that are much more aspirational that you should get AI agents to do. And often you want AI agents to do them because they might be tasks that doesn't give you a lot of energy. So yeah.
So then what's your quick advice on if we were to follow this framework, where do we start tomorrow?
Oh, just grab a canvas, draw 2 lines, put some boxes in, and then just put in as much different use cases that you can think of in your company into this framework so that you can see like, okay, these are all the different tasks. This is how I'm going to prioritize it. You want to usually start off with like current tasks, but then you want to look at like aspirational tasks because those are usually, because the ROI is different, right? Like if you're looking at current tasks, you're thinking about time saved, etc. But aspirational tasks is much more like conversion increases. So doing that, laying out and like brainstorming is a good way to like do that. And we actually do this with customers. We will literally pull up a Miro board and then just say like, hey, this is the 2x2. What are the different use cases you want to use AI agents for? Okay, let's map it out. Okay, now let's go do it. So yeah.
Amazing. I can go hours talking to you about all the learnings, but thank you so much for having this conversation today. It was truly inspirational and a lot of learnings for me to take away, and I'm sure for everyone else. So thank you so much for your time, Jacky.
Thank you.